Hello, bonjour, good evening, and such. Hello, weirdos. Welcome back. My name is thediceberollen, and we're back here with Brain Mucus. This is episode 5 of The Horror of Mental Health, where my guest and I discuss a movie of their choosing. The goal is not to judge or review the movie based on whether or not it's good or bad. It's to explore the significance of it regarding mental health in the life of my guest. And today, I have the very special guest, Boomer, of Podcast in the Woods, joining me.
Hey, hello everyone. It's funny because it's been a little while since I have done a live show. I know that the last time that you and I worked together, I tanked the shit out of it. Oh,
We'll blame internet. That's always
yeah,
fun.
exactly. So corrected those issues. So I am excited to do this tonight. Although I noticed that I am looking noticeably thicker since the last time that I done this.
Hey, no one was gonna say shit. You didn't have to point that out. Now people are gonna go,
Let's
where?
compare. Boomer needs to run.
Oh god. Oh, it's alright, just cycling, you know. We like to call it foodie. We'll just say foodie. That's a good thing. Hello, DMC. Welcome. Morning? Is it morning where you are? New Zealand time?
Oh my.
Either way, glad to have you here. So, before we get into anything, for anybody who doesn't know who you are, please explain.
Sure. So I am Boomer, and along with my wonderful and amazing co-host Gabby, who also wanted me to tell you hi, Dice. I run Podcast in the Woods. We are a horror podcast, and we talk a little bit about everything from blockbusters to schlocky picks, whatever it is. We just like to mix a little bit of alcohol and a lot of fun, and that's pretty much what we do.
And you guys were nice enough to invite me on for an episode, and I think that was quite a lot of fun. We talked about Demon Wind.
Fantastic.
Yeah, that was my
cinema.
choice. Yeah. 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 It's an interesting one for sure. We'll put it that way. Not the worst. Not the
No,
worst
no.
horror movie out there, but
It's not. It's the Citizen Kane of Grandma Demon movies.
something like that, yeah. Yeah. Lots of demons and, well, alien, possibly, entity. I don't know. Either way, we still haven't come up with a good definition for what happens at the climax of that film, but someone will work on that, I'm sure.
Yeah, I don't think anybody actually knows. I don't think the director knows what happened
No.
at the end of that film.
Drugs. That's what happened. Drugs. A lot of them. It was the 80s. Or 90s, actually. Early 90s, wasn't it? Either way, drugs.
I believe they started filming that in the 80s.
Okay. Well, we'll take 80s. Don't choke. Don't die yet. We haven't even started. Don't die yet. That's later. At least do it for people who are paying.
Yeah, there you go. That's for Patreon, everyone.
Yes. Patreon
Watch-
exclusive Boomer chokes. Oh, afternoon. All right. Well, fair enough. You're kind of in the same time frame as the rest of us, then. Very good. So, how did you personally get into horror? How long have you been a fan of the genre?
Oh, as long as I can remember. So I remember the first horror film that I ever watched was Critters. And that was kind of my gateway drug. And I had one of those parents, or I had two of those parents that really didn't care what I watched for the most part. It was funny though that they had weird stipulations on movies that I was and was not allowed to watch.
They always
So
do.
yeah, exactly. So I wasn't allowed to watch like religious stuff for some reason, like religious horror. I didn't see The Exorcist until I was like in my early 20s. But my mother did take me to go see the movie Seven when I was very young. I watched Nightmare on Elm Street, all those things that probably children should not be watching at the age that I was partaking in it. But it kind of molded me into the wonderful, well-adjusted person that I am today, Dice.
Yes, the very responsible, adult-looking kind of individual. Yes. Yeah.
Hey, I have held down a job quite well.
That's probably bonus points because Speaking as myself, hey, that's fine. That's adjusted enough. We'll put it that way. Critters. Mine was Nightmare on Elm Street 1 or 2. I've
Nice.
seen
Yeah,
all
mine
three.
was too. I mean, well, not mine was too, of course. I mean, then I would be a liar. But no, I watched those pretty close to the time that I saw Critters. I remember sitting on the couch watching Nightmare on Elm Street. My eyes were probably like this big. And it's funny because if you have those type of parents, they always like want to make sure that you're okay, you know. So it's like you're sitting there crapping your pants on the couch, and they keep turning to me and like, are you okay? And I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, I'm fine.
Keep going. It's fine. Those are some go-tos I've noticed. A little pattern so far with my guests, as far as what some of the first horror movies that they saw were. Nightmare on Elm Street seems to be pretty consistent. It's not always the first one, but it's one that's always mentioned. So credit to Wes Craven.
Well, yeah, not only that, but I mean, your parents figure, hey, it scared the crap out of them. It's probably good for my 6-year-old.
Yes, it's fine. Don't worry about it. You've graduated from Sesame Street. Here's Freddy Krueger. Come on. Perfect. Lovely. I plead the fifth. As I've mentioned many times before, I was a late horror genre bloomer, shall we say? But here we are.
Well, you have caught up quite well.
We're working on it. I'm still receiving judgment from some of the things that I have on my watch list, but we're working on it.
Yeah, we're all there. I still need to see The Haunting. People are like, you've never seen The Haunting, and I'm
Oh yeah,
like,
the
yeah,
1960s.
yeah,
Haunting,
exactly.
yeah. I think it's a serviceable ghost film. We'll put it that way. Maybe not the biggest fan, but it's. I understand. I get the history of it.
Yeah.
Alright, so why don't you tell everybody what movie you chose to discuss?
Okay, so I have chosen my favorite film. Wait, hold on. Somewhere around here. Right there.
Yeah.
My favorite film of all time, and that is Evil Dead 2. And it's kind of crazy the reason that I chose it. It's been my favorite film since I was 13 years old, and it terrified me and made me laugh uproariously at the same time, which had never happened to me before. So that was a brand new experience for me. And it's just been in my repertoire ever since. I've seen the movie probably hundreds of times, and it's crazy the way that we view our favorite films. Like a lot of times we gravitate towards something that really speaks to us, and then we really don't think about it in another light. Like it's just whatever way that we approached it when we were a kid, or whenever that first viewing was, right? And it wasn't until Gabby and I covered House of a Thousand Corpses, and she kind of brought a different perspective on that film, one that I'd never thought about. I was like, wow, that's brilliant. And it kind of I kind of started rethinking the way that I approached certain movies, ones that I'd seen in the past, and kind of, well, let me see if there's anything else to this film rather than the straightforward way. And of course, I mean, you could approach a movie however you feel like it.
Sure.
I mean, horror is great that way, but I started reevaluating some of the ways that I approached my horror films and some of my favorite horror films. And Evil Dead 2 was one of those films. And so I kind of thought about the perspective of, like, what if this is a metaphor for Ash's anxiety? What if the evil is not actually, it does not actually exist, and the creeping terror that is always chasing him around is his own mental health issues? And what would that say about the film? And so it's funny that you asked us to be on this, and then I was like, oh wow, this is amazing. I really
Perfect
started
timing.
thinking, yeah, exactly. It's serendipitous. So so that's why I chose Evil Dead 2. Well, one, because I love it, and two is, yeah, but because of the new kind of perspective that I've taken on the film. And that's not like, I'm not saying that that's the way that the film is, everyone, before you come at me.
Yes, please, everybody, torches, pitchforks at
Yeah.
the door. Thank you.
I take the film literally still. I believe that there are deadites out there. I'm just saying that,
Yeah.
I've started thinking about it in a different kind of way.
You,
And
you
this
can
is,
look at a film, like you said, in different ways. It's okay. There's different options. It's alright. It's part of the creativity, you know? Art is subjective to everyone, so.
yeah. I don't want to hear any comments. Okay, boomer.
Yeah.
So, if it's all in his head, then why did he cut off his hand? And then why does he have a chainsaw arm? What does that mean, boomer?
Yes, what's the metaphor for that? Give me a minute. Give me a minute. I'll figure it out. Now, that's quite interesting. I, in all honesty, had not even really put Evil Dead into the concept or the construct of mental health until you mentioned it, and I was thinking about it a little bit more like, okay, yeah, okay. Even like hallucinations, paranoia, stuff like that. I have. I would take the camera off the show, but it's a mess. On my slightly slanted ceiling, I have a big ass poster that's just like the one behind you as well. So this is one of my favorite Evil Dead movies.
Nice.
I think it's probably the favorite for me in the franchise. So that's lovely.
Yeah, it's because you have great taste.
I'll take that. Yes. Not everybody thinks so, but that's okay. Once again, it's subjective. So, you mentioned anxiety. I kind of brought up hallucinations, paranoia, perhaps. What other kind of mental illnesses or disorders do you think are represented in the film?
So yes, so specifically, I mean, you could take there's a number of different ones. Now, the one that I focused on was anxiety, and that's because that's something that I have dealt with. Strangely enough, not just fairly recently, within like the last few years. Like, it didn't manifest itself until a few years ago, and so I well, anyway, but I think that there's also, I mean, you can also look at different aspects of OCD. I think, yes, paranoia is one. Even if you want to get really, really up in the clouds, then you can take the approach that, again, like this is kind of symbolic for depression. So it's all subjective. But the reason why I chose anxiety in this one, and I don't want to get too far into it because I know you have questions. I don't want to step all over your notes
Please.
or anything.
How long you would like to go into things? That's totally fine with me. We don't have a set time frame.
But I just kind of recognized some of Ash's mannerisms that I was doing to cope with my anxiety. So it's in little ways. So it's not like, oh, I'm Ash Williams, although that would be really cool. But there is a scene in here when one of my favorite scenes is when he goes to the mirror and he's trying to convince himself that he's okay. I mean,
It's
and he's
fine.
he's just sitting at the mirror and he's like it's fine, and then his alternate self tells him, it's not fine. We just cut up our
Yeah,
girlfriend
I don't
with
think
chains.
so.
But like, I kind of recognize that in some of my own actions, where there would be times when I would be dealing with a situation that was hard to deal with, or maybe there was no situation at all. It was just something that came upon me, and I would find myself just like kind of repeating mantras to kind of cope with the circumstances that I found myself in. And so I like there's things that I recognize in that there when he freaks out in the chair and he seems to have kind of lost time. Those things are, I'm like, holy crap.
Yeah.
It makes a lot of sense to me. So that's why I chose that. But there's a number of different things in this film, regardless of what it is that you struggle with, and you can kind of see different aspects if you were dealing with mental health issues, that you could say, oh, okay, yeah, I recognize that in myself. So it's kind of neat that way.
Yeah, and like you, I think, yeah, the mirror scene is a big one that comes to mind. As a fellow anxiety, I would say sufferer, infrequent sufferer, perhaps. That rings a lot of bells of just like you said, mantras of like, no, you're fine, it's okay, you're fine, it's all right, don't worry about it, and your mind, if you will, or the anxiety in one's mind, going, oh yeah. So that what else? I'm still trying to figure out. I keep going back to the whole hand thing. I'm like, what does that stand for?
Well, I mean, if you want to take something like towards the end where he keeps getting possessed, and again, like you can look at that in a number of different ways, but the way that I saw it is there would be times that I was okay, that I was dealing, that I was excelling in what it was that I was doing, whether it's work or personal life or whatever it is, and then all of a sudden I was not okay, and I was dealing with those feelings again, and like at the end of the film that happens to him, it's like he gets possessed, and and I should know this, but of course, like I'm on the spot now, so I forget what her name is, but she goes after him with
The
the
brain
axe,
goes, hmm.
and
Yeah,
he's and
I'm good now. I'm
I've
fine.
actually had this conversation with somebody before, but it's like, where they ask you, "Are you doing okay? Are you all right?" And then, and sometimes like you try to convince people that you're okay, and you're not, but sometimes you are, and I know that you can attest for this. Like, you don't want people, like, if you deal with mental health issues, you don't want people that are like walk on eggshells around you all the time. And so,
No.
yeah, and so telling somebody, "Are you listening to me? I'm all right."
Yeah. That was, I think, rather relatable. Yeah. Uh, it's a very interesting perspective. So now I need to go back and like watch Evil Dead again, but with that perspective of like, okay, this is a man dealing with some anxiety. Let's see how that plays out this way. And the whole concept of like the anxiety taking over out of nowhere for conceivably no reason, being like the demonic kind of thing. Yeah, I can see that. That I think that works rather interestingly, because I have dealt with several instances of extremely high anxiety, and it pretty much feels like you're not here right now. This is somebody else. Good luck. It's gonna be very chaotic. Let's just hope nothing bad happens.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
and it's like it's really interesting to me that, and I'm not well versed on mental health issues, so I can't speak to other people's or other afflictions, and I won't do that but it's really interesting to me because I was talking to Gabby, and Gabby, was supposed to be here tonight, couldn't be here.
We will
Um,
have her on in the future, I promise.
Yes,
Yes.
so it's going to be interesting getting her perspective as well, and so I'm not going to spoil any of that. But we were talking before, anticipating coming on the show, and the way that she deals, or the way that she deals with anxiety is completely different, like than the way that I do. And I'm not talking about like our coping mechanisms, although I'm sure those are different as well. But the way that the way that the onset comes, or the way that you feel when that's happening. Like for me, this film is super relatable because like when I'm dealing with this, it's like this black wave, right? That is unnameable and sometimes unknowable. Like I don't even know what it is, but I feel it coming at me. And so like the POV shots in this film are just like, it's like I feel that like
Mm.
big time. Where yeah, it's just there's like this entity that is chasing me and is after me and wants to do me harm. So like like in those things, I still saw it. And so that's the way that I struggle with it. And so when you were like, what film? Like, oh, it's Evil Dead 2 because there's so much in here. Um, I wish I was as cool at dealing with it as our protagonist in this film, or as witty, but I'm not. And so
Well, not
sometimes
everybody has a chainsaw for a hand.
exactly, like I need a mental health boomstick. I need somebody to tell me what that is.
Yes, well, I wonder if there's some sort of like fidget toy or something for that. I don't know, maybe. Ideas for people who are listening. Go ahead. Just trademark. A little compensation, maybe. I think it's also interesting, just like talking about how each individual will deal with anxiety might be a little bit different, but we all kind of understand the concept of it. Like you said, the POV. Got it. That's something I hadn't thought of, but completely agree. There's also this, to me, the way I kind of go with anxiety, whether I like it or not, is if I'm isolated, much like Ash Williams is, of course, it's, dear God, all internalized, holy shit, spiraling downwards, not doing well. But as soon as other people come in, like the group, the hillbillies and the daughter and her boyfriend and everything, when they come in, all of a sudden it's Ash like switching to, I need to protect these people and I need to help them, so he focuses on that. And I can relate to that because if I'm dealing with something that causes me anxiety, it's once again, oh shit kind of moment. But if someone else who's around says, yeah, I'm feeling a little anxious, I'm like, don't worry, I got this. Come on, let's go. So, many different things, as you said, to relate that to. I'm sure there's a lot.
Yeah, I feel that, and I never thought about that perspective, honestly. Like how, yeah, his not only his what happens in the film narratively changes, but yeah, like his personality is kind of different. Where I mean, he's kind of, and he always has been. He's our lovable jackass, but
It,
when other people are around, I mean, he kind of, even though maybe regrettably, but he kind of steps up to the plate, so to speak. And wow, yeah, because I don't want to share too much or be too much of a downer, but there was somebody in my family recently that was just diagnosed with anxiety and is dealing with a lot in the moment, and I'm able to put the things that I'm dealing with aside to say, "Hey, are you okay?" and to make sure that they're okay and to be there for them. So, wow, that I didn't even think about it in that aspect. But that, yeah, that's fantastic. I was so worried like about coming on here tonight because I'm like, what am I going to say? Because I mean, it is very personal
yes.
for all of us, are the issues that we dealing with, and there's been times. I enjoy dark things anyway, so there's certain things that I've noticed in this film that relate to this that I'm not going to share because then everybody's gonna be like, "Oh my God,
Yeah, dear God. No.
what's wrong?" But but coming on here, I was so nervous, like not just to get to interact with you again, but how am I going to bring this in? How am I going to rein myself in? And I'm thinking like the whole time, because I'm sure that there are people out there that are from our show that are stepping over, and we do everything, and we take on issues. We've taken on issues of racism and misogyny and homophobia and all these different aspects, but usually we do them in a way that relates to the film, and it's kind of still humorous in a way.
Yeah.
There are times when we take the occasional aside and a PSA or something, but most of the time we kind of we bring that into what the discussion is. But this is the first time that I've ever really delved into something this deeply, and so I'm like, okay, think of a joke, Boomer. Think of a joke.
There's gotta be something here. No, it's and like I always tell everybody, of course, we don't go anywhere. Just like I said before we got on, we don't go anywhere that my guest does not want to go. We can absolutely delve into things in very dark, deep crevices, but that's not always helpful. Sometimes it is, but the whole idea of this, I guess, once again, this could be taken however anybody wants. Really, it could be purely entertainment, it could be educational, it could be, oh shit, I'm dealing with that helped, thank you, shit like that. So it's whatever helps everybody, and I appreciate you taking the leap of faith. I never let anybody see the questions that I'm going to ask, but it's kind of a basic template just to give everybody room to discuss and go wherever they want with the film, and relating it back to the film, I think, is a good thing. Because like I had told people that I passed this idea around to before we started it, was, I noticed that there was a correlation with mental health, good or bad, or somewhere in between, and horror movies. And it's kind of touched on here and there with some people, some movies, some podcasts, but I never saw anybody, and I'm not saying I'm the first, but I never saw anybody try to make a series on that. So, and I don't know about you, but I remember, and several other people I've spoken to remember, we were supposed to get a documentary for horror and mental health, but that fell through. And it was about the same time that I was fucking around with this idea. So when they said, yeah, we're not going to do that, I went, okay, let's try this. Let's see what happens. So it's all about exploring, of course.
Well,
So,
yeah, and I've never seen this tackled on a podcast before. And I've got way too much free time on my hands sometimes, and so I listen to a lot of podcasts, and I've never seen this. So yeah, this is absolutely fantastic, and the approach that you've taken on horror and the way that you want to discuss it. So
yeah.
yeah, I'm excited about it. A little nervous, but
Hey, it's all right. We won't persecute. No.
yeah, exactly. Be
I
forgiving,
swear.
everyone.
Yeah, we won't sacrifice. We won't, no knives, no pitchforks. It's okay. People, at least around here, should be used to how I work with things, so it's alright. Don't worry about it. Nobody should be that harsh. Hopefully.
First comment. No.
Yes, first comment, I swear to God. This episode sucked. Wow, really? Banned. No.
I don't know if you have the same perspective on those negative comments as you did, but I was so happy when I got my first negative review on the podcast. I was like, "Hey, you have not made
We've
it.
made it.
You have not made it until you have a negative review, or so
Yeah.
you get some troll that it's like,
Oh, yeah.
I hate your opinion." Like, great.
Well, yeah, similarly, actually, yes. Quite similarly. First, I don't even remember what it was. I'm sure I have it saved somewhere. I have a folder. But, yeah, no, it's exactly that. You know you're actually getting somewhere if you get, like, one person who's willing to spend that much time telling you suck. Wow, thank you. I'm glad I could live rent-free in your head for a little bit. That's nice.
Yeah.
It's
What is your
you're
favorite
getting
movie?
somewhere.
I'm going to cover that one next.
Oh, yes. Tell me what your favorite horror movie is so I can shit on it. No. No, that's, as my dear mother would say, if you're doing something right if you're pissing somebody off.
Mm-hmm.
So, we'll take that approach.
That's always a good thing to. It's always a good mindset to have, and yeah, I mean, don't let that the negativity bother you. If there's any aspiring creators out there, because it's gonna happen, and just rejoice in that. And I'm glad also that Dice has let the F word fly, because I was trying to censor myself.
Yeah, I forgot to mention. You can curse as much as you want. No slurs, of course. I don't expect it from you, but cursing's fine.
Okay.
Welcome.
Yeah.
Fuck it. Let's go. Let's see. What else do we have now? I think you rather encompassed that question quite well. Yes. Excellent. On that similar subject, kind of, sort of, though, what are some horror movies that you avoid?
Honestly, there is not a whole lot in horror that I avoid. So even some of the extreme films, I'm kind of like, I kind of want to watch it, just to see what it is. I don't have. I've been very lucky this way. So horror, the genre does not trigger me in any way, even though that I've had some traumatic experiences in my past. For some reason, like on screen, it really doesn't bother me when those issues are tackled. And if it does for you, then hey, I get that. So I'm not saying one thing or another about
being
that.
Called a wuss. It's okay.
Exactly. But I really don't have any triggers, and so I've watched a lot of shit. Whether that's crazy stuff that's happening, or whether that's actual just terrible movies, I kind of like to search it all. There are a few films when I just know that I'm not going to enjoy it, and so I kind of avoid those, like Smile and Twilight. No, so
Twilight for a different reason. That's trauma, but different. It's okay.
no, I mean I'll give you a for instance. So there are films in there because I will allow you to be as shocking and crazy, and you put whatever it is on the screen that you feel presents your idea or your vision. So, well, sorry about that. I forgot to turn off my notifications. But
Oh, that's my ride.
the Uber's here. No,
I hear sirens. That must be for me.
no, but there's not a lot, but there are films that I know that I'm not going to enjoy. So I'll give you a for instance. So I have never watched something like August Underground or the like the guinea pig films from Japan and the ones from America. And it's not because I feel like they would be too disturbing for me. Like it wouldn't like bother me in that way. But like whenever I watch a film, I do want it to actually have something to say. And so I know that there are films out there, we watch a lot of them from the 80s that are just kind of feel good movies. Well, those movies are not those movies. So
No.
it's not going to make me feel good for one. And if you're going to give me something extreme or something that I'm not going to enjoy watching on the surface, then there has to be some type of message behind it. There needs to be something, some reason for me to watch your fucking movie. So besides just the gore and the violence or whatever it's in it, the titillation, doesn't matter. You take your pick. So there are those type of films that I've avoided, not because I think that they would bother me, but just one, I would be bored to tears, and two, it would just piss me off, and I would hate you as a director because you just made me sit through your stupid movie for
I've
an hour,
wasted
hour and a
an hour
half,
and a
2 hours. Exactly. So yeah, you're wasting my time, sir or ma'am.
And possibly money. Possibly. We
Yeah,
rented it on
definitely
Amazon.
pay
Don't
for
ask me
those.
how. Yeah. No, that's stuff like the what do they call it? The extreme movie Iceberg or something like that. It was all
Oh
horror
yeah.
movies. And I know there are a number of people who did actually go through all of that. But I couldn't do that just because, kind of similar to you, I know that this is something that was made specifically to be utterly unpleasant. Why do I want to spend my time going through that for possibly no reason? I see no value here for me personally. I know it has its fans. I'm concerned, but it has its fans. And that's
Are you
alright.
okay? No.
Yes, are you okay? But there are some, once again, just like you said, that do have a message. You might have to look a little bit, but they have a message. Like Sallow. I've been told that has a message. Understand. That's great. Will I watch it? We're gonna see. Can we get the highest donator in here? No. Don't do that. I've had a few friends who are like, I'll watch this if you donate this much. I'm like, CP? No. But no, that's interesting. There's no real triggers, but you differentiate triggers and just, this isn't gonna be fun. I'm not gonna watch it.
Yeah,
Which I think
exactly.
is just as respectable.
Yeah, I
There's
mean, like even stuff from like a good one is like Lars von Trier. So, even though I don't particularly enjoy his movies, it's not a good time, folks. But I understand that there is a message like to his films. Like he is very much about making movies for himself. So, and that's something that I can appreciate.
Yeah.
I've seen his films. I don't like any of his films, and I don't want to watch them again. However, I am thankful that I did see them because I believe that there's merit in that kind of thing. Like even
Yeah.
people that make bad movies, I've come a long way in my appreciation for film. So I may still shit on your movie, but I appreciate that you made the movie
Yeah.
and that you made it with like honest intentions and you wanted to make the best movie you can. Now, did you fall short? Sure, and I'm going to tell you why you did.
Yes.
But
You
I'm
won't be
still
winning
at
awards, but hey.
but still at the end of the day, like I appreciate you and applaud you for making a movie. That's
Yeah.
that's amazing.
Yeah. No, that just similar once again to you. I'm sure if I was able to examine my mindset when I started to review movies versus now, it would be quite polarizing. There was a time, I do remember that there was a time that I would look at movies just in general very critically. Like I knew what the fuck I was talking about, which I did not. I still don't, most likely, but I have a better understanding. And if I had reviewed or attempted to review some of the movies that I know are bad, then it would not have turned out well for anybody. But yeah, no, there are tons of movies that I have seen, that I've reviewed, that are bad. But I'm sure I've mentioned this on a few different other live streams that I've been asked to come on, bless, that there's at least 3 different categories to me of like bad movies. And one is it's so bad it's good somehow. That's amazing. Well done.
Yeah.
Or it's bad and dull and why was it made? Or it's so bad that it's offensive. So, if it's bad but still fun, then hey, I've never made a movie. Well done. Well done. So, all right. Yes, excellent. It's time for this now. If anybody has any questions for Boomer in regards to the movie horror in general, now is the time. We shall continue forward, but just try to stay on topic, darlings. Yes.
Yeah, leave all those like NGL questions, who you trying to get with, that kind of stuff.
That's for anonymous, goddammit. That's not for here. Please. Good lord. So, in the meantime, who would be some of your comfort characters? It doesn't have to be horror, but if they are, that would be great. Or some characters that you relate to.
All right, so I've already explained why Ash Williams is one of them, and so I won't go back into that one. Another one that I found myself really identifying with. That's crazy. It's like, kind of thought you would ask me this question, and then I'm like just blocked it out. So I did not prepare. But I mean, I'm notorious for not preparing anyway. So here we go. One of the ones that I found myself really identifying with, especially on first watch, was Stu from Scream. And I have not killed anybody.
Okay,
but
that was my next question. No.
But I do find I do recognize myself in him in a lot of ways, because when I was going to high school, I was the class clown. I run a podcast that I like to think is sometimes humorous, and so
yes. I'll confirm. Yes.
So I do that sometimes, where I will cover up a lot of the emotions that I am actually feeling with humor. And it's something that it kind of just like runs in my family, or maybe I don't know. Maybe that's just something that I was taught. But my dad did the same thing. But for him, it wasn't humor; it was anger. So, you weren't allowed to show any type of negative emotion, whether that was sadness or fear or anything. But you were allowed, like, anger and humor were still okay. I remember there's like this crazy story. This is a Dice Rolling exclusive right here. I've never told this story before on a recording. So when I was 13 years old, I was riding my bike, and we had these big bushes in front of our house, like, that were kind of parallel to our driveway. And like a dumb kid, I rode my bike out into the middle of the street without looking first and got hit by a car.
Oh God.
Yeah, and it was like one of those things where, we were kind of in a rural area, podcast in the woods.
Hmm.
So drivers would drive faster than they should be going. This was not like some subdivision where the speed limit was like 15, 25 miles an hour. Normally cars would drive like 45 to 55 miles an hour down this road. And so I hit that, went up the hood, bounced off the windshield, and then went sliding down the road, where I had I had road rash like all over my arms, to where when I was trying to do that, like I had a real nasty cut on my head where I hit the pavement afterward, and it was really bad. It's really bad.
It's not good.
But I got up, and I was what, 12, 13 or something, and it's just like natural, like I was really hurt. And so of course, like, it's okay to cry in those instances, but no, it wasn't okay for me to cry. So I sucked it up, and I'm just like,
I'm
doing,
fine.
okay, I swear. So my brother saw it all happening, and like he probably thought I was dead. So he goes like sprinting like back to the house, and I'm like, hey, I'm okay. I'm fine, but like I could not get his attention, probably because he was so scared. I just
He
thought
was
he
not
watched
paying
his brother
attention. Just
die.
go.
Yeah. So he goes in there and he's telling he's telling our dad that Boomer is an idiot and got hit by a car and is laying on the road bleeding. And so my dad, in his socks, and I mean, he's one of those classic old men that wear like the knee-high socks and stuff like that, so just runs out there in his socks, down the gravel driveway and stuff. The first thing that I said to him was, because he was like, boy, are you okay? And I sat there for a second. I was like, Dad, does it look like I'm fucking okay? So I mean, it was, that was the thing. And then he got mad at me because he was so scared that that I was hurt. So it's just it's just one of those things where I've always just dealt with whatever situation in my life by just kind of making a joke of it. So like Stu is kind of the big one. I don't know. There's different characters when it comes to like who I am as like a person, because we all, as horror fans, we feel that like growing up, and I'm so thankful that we have this community now, but a lot of times we spend as kind of outcasts, like even regardless of what your station is in when you're growing up in high school. And you guys know, everybody knows what I'm talking about. But I grew up and I played sports, and so that kind of elevated me to an okay level. So but inside I was not the person that everybody thought that I was. I was the like little weird horror kid that I was the little weird horror kid, that like nobody, if they really knew me in my circle, would want to be around. And so like Carrie is another one that has always meant so much to me. And it was crazy, like my mindset on after I had watched that film, because again, growing up as somebody who played sports and stuff like that, that you except for the hazing that goes along with it, you were kind of protected against a lot of the bullying that took place in the school. But it was the people that I was running around with that were kind of perpetrating that thing, and I never did. Thankfully, I can say that I never did take part in that. But one thing that I never did either at the time was I was never an ally either. I didn't want to stand out or stand up for anybody. But I watched that film, and like it blew me away. Like that affected me on like a soul level. And it was crazy. This is going to sound like the stupidest thing in the world. So we had the stereotypical like high school to where there was the jocks at one table and like the gearheads at one and the stoners, and then kind of like the losers, at the
Yeah, the
losers. You guys,
clicks.
yeah, exactly. The cliques. We had those stereotypical like 80s cliques somehow. I don't know. Like they could have filmed. They could have filmed one of those 80s 90s
Yeah,
teen
coming of
comedies in our high
age.
school, and nobody would have known the difference. But it was like, this sounds so stupid, and you guys can roast me in the comments, feel free, but like normally I would sit with the guys that played football like I did, and like the day after watching that film, I kind of went over there and had one of those like out of body experiences, and I went and sat at like one of the other tables with some of the other kids, and it was kind of weird at first, and the guys kind of uh gave me problems for that. But then it was just like, it was kind of cool because there was a little bit of acceptance after that, and it was like, hey, this is still Boomer. He's still a good guy. He still can catch the ball great, and we can't piss him off because if he quits, we're not going to be as good. So,
Aha, leverage.
let's just leave him alone. And they ended up in turn you know, not picking on them anymore. So I know that's kind of a silly, silly, kind of like sappy story. The more you know, but it was just like how crazy that her as a character. Like I vibed with Carrie as well. So it's like those two are like the main ones. I think. I know I went on a real roundabout journey to answer your
Oh, I
question.
want to know the details. That's what it's all about, yes. No, I can see that. No, that's... Carrie is interesting. I'm glad, actually, that, once again, just to be stereotypical here, that it's not just, like, girls who related to Carrie growing up. It's also guys. Would have thought. That, actually, as you said, as cliche as it sounds, shit like that happens. And it's really nice, I think, that a horror movie specifically, can kind of change a perspective. That's what this is all about, of course. So that's fabulous. I think Carrie is quite a relatable character to a lot of people. And I am also a Stu stan, but I know for a fact that in such a world, I would be Randy. I know this. That's alright, I can live with it. And just speaking on characters that I guess are relatable in horror, just the other evening, Celise of Sweet and Spooky and I were watching The Frighteners because she hadn't seen it.
That's such a good movie.
We had to fix it. We had to fix
Yeah.
it. So, afterwards, she was saying, yeah, you always say that, like, Frank is a character that you relate to a lot, or it represents you, and she's like, I can see it now. I'm like, yep. Yeah, there it is. I've been compared to Michael J. Fox anyway. Once again, I can live with that. So,
There are definitely worse ones out there.
absolutely, yes. Especially, this will sound real bad. I'll never be able to speak to him after I say this. No, especially when you got a movie with Jake Busey, I think there are worse options, at least physically, to be compared to. No
Yeah.
offense to Busey fans.
I can't
hate
see
me.
you without seeing Kane Hodder. I'm like, oh.
Well, with or without the mask. No, please. No. Alright, let's see. What do we have, y'all? DMC, I'm glad the chance of that happening to Dice would be close to zero, considering you're in the middle of nowhere. Thank you. Thanks. No, I could still have, with some weird fucking luck, it could still happen. Because I know what you mean talking earlier about how in rural areas, people pay no attention to the speed limit. It's true. It's very true. And we have, like, not groundhogs, prairie dogs. We have prairie dogs around here. The number of times that my mom has cussed someone out because they were going too fast and they were prairie dogs is innumerous. And aside from that, we do get joggers out here, so... Dice went up a notch because of liking Frighteners, yes.
That's fantastic. I actually saw that one in the theaters. That was
Oh, bless.
a wonderful experience. Yeah.
I would like to think that it was, it's always difficult for me to try to picture what the like first viewings are for horror movies in theaters, mostly because I'm never there. No, but The Frighteners is and has been for a very long time actually been one of my favorite horror movies. So, and I found it because of Michael J. Fox. So there we are.
I did too. Yeah, that's why I watched it. I mean, growing up, you're again, parents that grew up or that were alive in the 80s are going to show you Back to the Future. And
Yeah,
so
yeah.
so watching those movies, and it's like, oh, Michael J. Fox is in a horror film. Like, what?
Yeah, sign me up. This was even before I was into horror, so probably some credit goes to him as well for me eventually getting into horror.
Yeah. And I mean, Jeffrey
Yeah.
Combs in that movie is incredible. Like, he scared me so bad the first time I watched that movie.
Yes, him, D. Wallace. Good God.
Yeah.
I didn't know the mom from E.T. could be this off the rails. God damn. And just the idea, I guess, of well, all the ghosts. They're not exactly all terribly pleasant looking. So some of them could be a little bit scary. If, once again, questions in the comments, questions in the chat.
That's
If you
why
have questions in the comments.
if I end up going and there are ghosts, that turns out to be real, hopefully I go out in a nice, easy way, so I don't come back with like some lumped up face or
half the face is missing. Oh God. Why won't you talk to me? I don't know. Maybe it's because you look like half of a meatball.
Yeah, it's like, I swear I'm just trying to warn you of something.
That's how that usually works, right? It's to be fair, I can't fault most people in horror movies who are freaked out by the ghosts who are just trying to warn them. It's a little off-putting, It's exactly what happened in Scooby-Doo Zombie Island.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it would also help if they'd stop jumping out at you. Like, hey,
That too.
just walk up to me. It's okay. Like, just come through the door if you have to, and like,
Leave
hey,
a
I've got
note.
something to tell you. Not like,
Yeah.
something's bad's gonna happen. Like,
Thanks
I
for
know
that out
you're
this morning.
you. Oh no, not you. Oh, it's something else.
There's something worse than you? Shit. Take the Casper approach. So, let's get back to these really thought-provoking questions. What would you like to say to anybody who is listening or watching who's dealing with anxiety or something similar to what's represented in Evil Dead 2?
All right. Well, so what I would say to anybody that is dealing with that issue is first of all, you're okay, and you're a good person still. And again, everybody deals with anxiety in different ways, but it's crazy, like how much that I would question myself as a person, and to the point where one of the ways that it would affect me is I was terrified to go to sleep. And not because I was having nightmares or anything like that. Like, in my mind, and I write a lot, so I write short stories, I write poetry, and that kind of thing. It is one of my outlets, and so I would write all these different poems. And one of the things that I became kind of enamored with in that, or something that I latched onto, is that in dreams you were honest with yourself, that you couldn't lie to yourself on who you actually were. And I was so terrified that I was not a good person anymore, that I was going to end up facing that when I fell asleep. And so again, like it manifests in different ways. But if that's you, if you're wondering about yourself because you're dealing with any type of mental health issue, not just anxiety, which I struggle with even to this day sometimes, but anything, is you are still a good person. You are the same person that you were before this came up, and that it's okay, and it's okay to to seek help for this thing. And that was the other thing growing up where I did, and I kind of talked about, the different ways that we were allowed to display our emotions. Seeking help or saying that I have an issue, or I'm not strong enough to deal with something, was not something that you were allowed to do. And it took me a long time to actually just seek out some therapy and some help. And it was crazy because I'm not going to get all into it, but I ended up calling one of the hotlines. That was like my first step, because I didn't want to just like walk in somewhere and be like, hey,
Help!
where do I
Oh.
sign up? For
Do you have a brochure or something?
yeah, how does this work? Is there a raffle? Like, do we get like a free meal with our counseling session here? How's this?
That would
But
be encouraging, I think. I'd go.
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Cookie? All right, yeah.
it's burritos and counseling day, Taco Tuesday here at the
Yeah.
clinic.
Taco Tuesday, and we'll talk about our feelings. Come on.
But so it took me a long time. So I ended up calling like the one of the hotlines. I had no idea what to say to them. They called up, and of course the first thing they ask you is, basically, I don't have the script or whatever it is, or the training that they have, but it's they want to make sure that you're okay and that you're not going to harm yourself and that kind of thing.
Yeah, something of a wellness checklist, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, no, I'm fucking fine. I just feeling weird. That was like how I kind of described it at the time. Like, I was just feeling weird, and just kind of wanted to talk over it with somebody and see if this is okay. And yeah, but
Yeah.
that is like the important thing is that first step to reach out, and you don't have to deal with everything on your own. You don't have to be the superhero Ash Williams, take on the world, take on the Deadites by yourself, because sometimes we do need a little help, and we found that out once we got to Ash versus the Evil Dead. He was so much better once he got his little sidekicks involved. But that's the main thing, is like taking those first steps to know that everything is okay. This is not an indictment on you as a person. This is not an indictment on your strength or your character or anything like that. But it's normal, and I love like the movement that really has been taking place over I think it's like really only been like the last couple of years when they're like normalized mental health.
Yeah, it had like a slow surge, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, we were definitely evolving as a society, which is nice, and we still got a long way to go. I mean, we had a fucking
Baby steps,
psychopath
baby
in the White
steps.
House like 7 years ago. So, well, I mean, elected 7 years ago. So we still got a long way to go as human beings. If the aliens still came and wiped us out at some point, it would probably be justified. But
Yeah, I could see it. It's reasonable, Yeah.
but yeah, that's basically it. Because like I said, I'm not to the point where I can talk about like my own situations and the things that I dealt with, and in a general sense that I could talk about that. But as far as like diving too far into anything specific, I don't feel comfortable doing that, because I don't know what people are dealing with. But two, I don't have that type of knowledge. But I just on a base level, take those first steps.
Yeah, no, I think that's excellent advice, personally. The first step is, as cliche as it sounds, as I'm sure many have heard, is always the hardest. But once you get that started, then it actually becomes a lot easier. And talking to people, once again, from my own experience, does help, even if your brain is telling you, no, it won't. It can help. It might take a bit, but it can help. Yeah, and the whole concept, for anybody who might still be in this mind space, the whole concept of, well, if you seek help, you're weak. Very outdated, very toxic. Fuck that shit. Get help if you need it, even if you think there are people out there who are dealing with worse. Everybody has different levels. Yours is just as justified as the next, so it's fine. We have
Nice.
many things now that help. Yes.
Exactly. And I'm glad that you said that because yes, there is different levels and everybody is different. So, the things that affect me may not affect you at all. But the things that, you were dealing with in your personal situation, maybe it doesn't bother me. So yeah, please don't judge, what it is that you're going with based on anybody else's circumstance. Everybody is unique. Absolutely.
Yeah. And it's fine. Once again, no, nothing is like worse. Truly, I hate that phrase. Nothing is worse than something else. Really,
Yeah.
in the grand scheme, trauma is trauma, darling. It's fine.
Yeah. And if somebody as, silly and dumb and clueless as Boomer can reach out and figure it out, I promise you, you are going to make it.
Yeah, many things. Like we say, there are many things readily available now, so it's a lot easier than it was. So, progress, baby steps, a little bit. Even a little bit is a good thing. Oh, questions, DMC. What's the most sickening horror movie you have watched once and then could never watch it again? Tusk and the Human Centipede for DMC. That's fair.
Well, I'll take this one first. There are a lot of movies that I don't enjoy watching that I have watched again. I don't like watching Seven. That movie, that movie, it really fucked me up. Like when I when I first saw it, and it was like years before I could ever like hit play on that one again. So there is that one. There's Silence of the Lambs, and it's because like I watched those when I was real little, and so they affected me like viscerally. It
Yeah.
terrified me. So I know it is different for everybody, but like I'll give you the cliche answer. I'll give you uh, Campbell, DMC Campbell. I'll give you the one that you're looking for, and it's a Serbian film.
Of course. Yep, there it is. There it is. Check it off the list. Thank you.
I know you wanted it. No. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I've seen that movie like one time, and it's well made, and from what I understand, has a political message, which is why I gave it the opportunity in the first place. Watching it, I'm like, I don't see anything in here about politics. So no desire to watch that ever again in my entire life. That movie is just gross.
Not one of those who go, hey, it's family movie night. Come on.
Hey kids,
Come on. Yeah.
I just made hot dogs. Let's watch.
You know, I'm gonna go. It's like, Salo, we got Tootsie Rolls. No.
Yeah.
No.
We just made a whole batch of chocolate pudding, and
No. No. John Simpson, why has the movie called Beware the Blob not talked about and studied or analyzed as a horror masterpiece that it is? That's the sequel to the original Blob, isn't it? I believe I have that on my watch list somewhere.
I didn't even know that there was a sequel to The Blob. So
Maybe that's why.
nice
Maybe
job.
it's because no one knows.
Yeah. I had no idea that existed. I knew that there was the original one with Steve McQueen, and then
Yeah.
I believe it's 88. 1988's the remake, which
Yeah.
is fantastic. Both of them are great, but yeah, wow.
I guess we'll have to look into that.
Yeah, dropping
haven't
horror
seen it.
bombs tonight. Nice job. I don't know.
I kind of figured, but hey, we're not here to judge. You know what I
You
mean?
son of a bitch. You son of a bitch. You got me.
Yeah. Oh, it's fine. It's fine. Well, I was aware it was made. I think it's a made-for-TV movie, but it doesn't have Steve McQueen.
No, I would imagine it has his brother Rodney McQueen.
Oh god. Yes, the little-known brother of Steve McQueen, Rodney. DMC. If Dice is down, I just buy a DVD off the wishes. Which one, sir? Which one? I
Monster.
have no, I already have that. That one I bought myself.
Nice.
Because reasons.
Well, because
of course.
Alice Cooper. I mean,
Sure. Yes, which now we're totally not regretting. but I'm also the person who actually sought out and bought Slaughterhouse Rock. So once again, because reasons.
I do the same thing. I have a problem. Like I buy, like if I have, and I just did it today. I posted on X now. Like I keep wanting to say Twitter, X.
I call it Twitter.
I'm
Fuck it. It's Twitter.
so annoyed. But there's a used bookstore that is like literally like right down the road, and they have like a massive DVD and Blu-ray collection there as well, and it's all super cheap and stuff, of course, because people just go turn in their junk, and then I go seek out that junk. But
and then
yeah,
here we come.
but I bought like today, like I bought anything like that sticks out to me interesting. I will pick up. I just got one today called Dead Waves. It's an Asian horror film that I've never heard of, that doesn't happen very often. I mean, I love Asian horror, so I've gone down that deeply into that rabbit hole. And so I saw that and I was like,
perfect.
I got so excited. So I ended up buying this movie. I would have paid $25 for that DVD, but they wanted $3. So I was like, bet.
Yeah, discount. Yes. Oh, I do the same thing, like thrift stores. Unfortunately, there's really not anything, to my knowledge, unless it's hiding somewhere. There's really nothing that close to me that's like that, and I do miss that because where I would get a large chunk of my horror movie supply would be at the like library sale. They would have this whale of a book sale that they would have. So, books, magazines, DVDs, CD-ROMs, and occasionally even comic books. But that's where I would just literal tables full, and I would go through. At this point, I've trained myself to, in quick glances, go, that must be a horror film, let me check that out. Even if I don't know the title. So I do love stores like that. We need more.
Yes.
Let's bring back the little mom and pop, like, secondhand media stores. Let's do that.
Well, the thing that like is crazy to me, because I also am like a retro gamer. Like I love the old Super Nintendo and Nintendo Entertainment System, that kind of stuff. And the reason I do is like I don't have the time or the patience for these new games. Like it takes me 15 minutes to get through the loading screens just to start the game. So I like really enjoy just being able like to pop in the original Mario, and I can bang out like 5 minutes and feel like I've accomplished something and played a game. So
Yeah.
I like that. And I again, like one of the other things I do is, just like I said, search out DVDs and Blu-rays secondhand, because I don't want to pay $15 for every single one of them. And plus, they all need a home.
Yes.
I'm here for you. I'm ready to adopt you. But like I will go to flea markets, and back a few years ago, it was like great. You could go pick up, like they would have massive bins of DVDs that you could get for like $1 a piece. You could get the games for like $2, $3, $4, $5. But now, like these flea market people are like searching eBay for their prices, and it's like, you know what? I just want the DVD of Urban Legend. I don't want to pay $10 for it. I could buy it new for that.
Yeah. No, they're catching on. Unfortunately, I'm sure those who collect like VHS tapes can probably attest to this. At one point, that shit was either free or like 50 cents. Now, certain places will be like, it's a collector's item, it's very good condition, $50. Fuck. Thankfully, that's not my area of interest, really, but my sympathies to the VHS collectors groups.
Yeah.
Look at thrift stores. Maybe it's better.
We have a mint copy of Gutter Zombies 3. Like, I never wanted to watch that. Why is it $700?
Because it's rare. Oh, of course. Of course. Raked. Bronson Red Wolf. Hello. I know you guys know this, but Evil, Live, and Vile? Which one's Vile? Are all spelled with the same letters? Oh, okay, never mind. I'm catching up. Just like silent and listen are both spelled with the same letters. That's true. So, I wonder if some of the titles kind of played around with that in the franchise. Or even some of the titles of the episodes for Ash vs. Evil. I must investigate.
I've never thought about that before, but yeah.
Yeah, thank you, DMC. We almost have 500. It's like 493 individual horror movies in my collection so far. Yeah. John Simpson, I ate a green birthday cake once, and yeah, that tends to happen. That or just some very concerning color to where you're like, what? Oh yeah, that's right.
I ingested a ton of dye.
Yeah. Green dye number 40.
Man, I used to have hundreds of DVDs. I'm building my collection back up now. I think I've probably got somewhere around 150 now. But like one of the times when I moved, like we hired movers, and they put like, I don't remember what it was, but like they stacked the boxes and they put like a dresser on top of my boxes of DVDs, and it just crushed them.
Jesus.
It was like, yeah, it was one of those Coppola moments. You know, they opened up the thing and I opened the box and I'm like, no.
0 stars. Thanks. Good lord. That's an unfortunate thing that I hear quite a lot. I'm afraid when it comes to professional movers. Not all, but quite a lot, I'm afraid. That's why I'm over here going, they'll never touch it.
Yeah, just load those up in your car.
Oh, yes. We're getting those industrial crates, and we're going to put it all in there. Thank you. DMC, once again, I agree, Boomer. I've often thought this movie needs a home in Dice's collection. Yes. DMC is responsible for a large portion of the movies I have in my collection now, which I'm forever grateful for, of course. As well as the shelving, actually. I do have to keep pointing that out, because before I was using whatever I could.
Well, let me just say, my address is P.O. Box. No.
Yeah. You can find all of the information in the description below. Brunson, I missed going to the video stores to rent movies. My mom and I would rent several movies and order pizza. It's just not the same anymore. I'm curious, what is your favorite streaming service?
I mean, this is an easy one. It's Shudder. It's got to be Shudder. I hear a lot of people talk or give Shudder flack for their originals, but I actually kind of like them. I mean, The Beach was one of my favorite horror movies of that year. I thought that movie was so good. But there is some good. So besides Shudder, if you want to say, okay, besides Shudder, because of the amount of crap that I watch, I really enjoyed Tubi. One, it's free.
So.
Yes. One, it's Tubi, or one, it's free. Yes. And two, it has an endless supply of bad shark movies on there, and I am currently making my way through them.
Oh, God. I wish you luck. I've seen some of those and went, oh, my God. What do you mean this came out this year? Oh. I agree. Shudder is quite an impressive streaming service, and I'm glad that it exists, because you can't go to Netflix if you're a hardcore horror fan. It's not much.
It's very light. Yeah, there are good things on there. There really are. Yeah. But you have to find them, because one, they don't promote them. So
it's almost like they're ashamed of horror.
Yeah, exactly. Which is crazy. Like, I think one of my favorite horror movies of all time, The Ritual, that was like a Netflix exclusive movie. And they would not promote that. Like, you had to get in there and like put it in the search thing, and even then it was like, Righteous Kill, other things, the Rugrats that are all above that one. But I mean, there's some good stuff on there, but you really have to find it.
It's kind of you gotta, like you say, you gotta pick through yourself. Not terribly reliable. They gave us Fear Street, the Fear Street trilogy. Yes,
that was fantastic.
But that's kind of infrequent.
Oh,
We'll put
yeah.
it that way. So Shudder has Joe Bob. So there's that.
As Joe Bob has Dragula, which
Yes.
I adore. Love Dragula. Shameless plug, but I've got Frankie Doom is coming on the show here in a couple of weeks because we do this. We've started doing. I'm like, yeah, we do this, but
It's a collective effort.
like I've been doing this forever, but we started last year because we're only a year old now, but on our first year we did the Dragula Titans recap. We did a recap of every episode. And it was so much fun. And so this year I'm like, of course, the new season's coming out, or it's supposed to come out. Please let it come out. But it's supposed to come out. So in order to kick that off, we have Frankie Doom coming on, and I'm terrified. I'm fucking terrified.
That's right.
But
That means it's going to be a good time. Yes.
Yeah, but I'm also excited. That's awesome. So Dragula on Shudder, yeah. They have a lot of documentaries on there. That's fantastic.
Oh, yeah. And I am a horror documentary whore, so we appreciate that very much, especially the In Search of Darkness documentaries. Beautiful, yes.
Yeah, and I have I've been trying to get you on that. I don't know, what their criteria is.
I don't know. I'm probably not popular enough, but I've kind of thrown my name out there. I know. I don't know if they're still doing this, but not that long ago, they were asking like content creators, internet personalities to like submit a form. I did. So I don't know if anything will come of that. I'll still watch it. I will still praise it, but we'll see. I don't know. 90s, that I was part of some of that. A little bit. So we'll see. Hello, Nikki. Oh, I wonder if the chat is fucking up again. Sometimes that happens. It's very bizarre. I've had.
Yeah, you always gotta love
times.
that. It's like, hey, post your questions, and then
Yeah,
the chat
and
just
then YouTube said, "That's great, thanks." YouTube loves to do that on occasion. Anyway, I'm glad you can comment now, though. I'm glad you're here. You're here regardless, even in spirit. Say, how old are you? Green years old. Okay, green old. We'll take that as a quantum of time. In that case, I'm purple. DMC, there is a ton of found footage on Tubi. That's true. I have seen that. Do they have a section for that? Or do you have to go looking for it?
I'm pretty sure that you have to go looking for it.
Right.
Although they are, for their categories, they are pretty good when it comes to their horror categories. So, and their recommendations, like you watch a certain thing and they're like, watch it now, So they're pretty good with their recommendations based upon the stuff that you watch as well. But yeah, there is a lot of found footage, and not all of it
is easy to make, is what I have heard. So,
and I would not be doing Gabby justice if I said, or if I didn't say, if you have not watched Hell House LLC, go watch that. That is on everything. It's on Tubi as well. It's one of the best found footage movies ever made.
I do need to watch that, but I kind of had it figured that with all the watch-alongs that I'm doing, I might have her on to like guide me through it or something.
Nice.
I think that would be nice. She might appreciate that.
Yeah.
Bronson, have you guys ever tried out Hulu or Tubi? Yes, we were just talking about Tubi, of course. I have an account. I have discovered the wealth of things that they have on Tubi. Hulu is, once again, kind of hit or miss for me. I do have access to that right now, so I'm dipping a toe into that.
Yeah, me too. Like I recently just got it, fairly recently, because Prey came out on Hulu, and what was the other one? Hellraiser? The new
Yes.
Hellraiser movie came out exclusively on Hulu, so I'm like, well, I gotta watch it. I kind of enjoy okay, I enjoy the first two Hellraisers.
Let's be specific.
Yes, so I enjoy the first two, and this one really, really had me interested because of the Cenobites in that, and I just, oh my god, when that like the androgynous Pinhead, I am a stan for that. So I'm like, I'm getting Hulu just for this, and so I did. I enjoyed that one. This other one, Tubby. I believe I have heard of Tubby, and I think it is pretty good.
Yes, yes. And once again, free. Hey, who doesn't like free? Doomsy. Yes, Boomer, I could one day get you a horror DVD or Blu-ray once I have finished once or for all sponsoring Dice. Ooh, damn, you gotta give up one? Ooh, damn. Ooh, we're gonna have to do an arm wrestling or something for that, I don't know. I'm sure my wish list is quite extensive, so, breaks are necessary. We'll just put it that way. Look for coupons, discounts.
Let's just root through people's garbage for the stuff that they've thrown out.
Or that. I'm not above that. Yes, thank you. I've heard that joke before, actually. I can't say that I made that joke, but I've heard that joke before. DMC once again. I haven't seen Hell House yet. I have seen it advertised, but not checked it out. Same.
So
I believe.
good.
So, I've heard good things, and of course Gabby vouches for it, so I'll just have to insist upon her presence when I venture down that little road.
Yeah. Again, I'm not going to steal her fire. But Hell House LLC, yeah, there's those like those moments in horror, right? When stuff begins to get a bit tired, and you're waiting for a film to affect you, and
to reinvigorate.
Exactly, to like reinvigorate that love. And there's been seminal moments in my horror history. Ringu was one of them, and Hell House LLC was another one. I was convinced that there would never be another horror film that would scare me again. I thought that I was past that point. And I've seen people say that, I am like, even other content creators will be like, I'm just not scared anymore.
Nothing can scare me. Huh?
Exactly. Which I thought that I was there. But Hell House LLC did it. That movie unnerved me. There's a scene in there, and it is a bit cliched, but the way that they do it is so brilliant. And I remember, like, I watched that film because I was at work when I watched it. And
you fool!
Yeah. So I watched this movie at work. So I'm watching it on my phone. Granted, it was dark, but I'm watching it on my phone with my AirPods in, and that movie terrified me. And I'm like, if this can do this on a phone, like, it's brilliant. And it is. It is a legitimately scary film. And so it kind of like, I after that I was like, I will never question that there will be something that comes along that will make me crap my pants.
Yeah. Kind of, I guess, similarly. That's why I look forward to seeing Hell House, because I'm not necessarily someone who has to be scared every time I watch a horror film. That's damn near impossible. But if I'm entertained, that's what qualifies. There are times where I am freaked out or uneasy due to a horror film. I never say that I would never be scared by a horror film again. It's just hard for me. And ironically, in that same subgenre, I think one of the last ones that did legitimately jump scare me a couple of times was Host.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, I don't know what the fuck happened after Host with the director of that, but come back to the Host shit. What was Dashcam? But that's different.
One of Dice's favorite films, Dashcam.
Yes, one of my favorite. DMC, I swear to God, you get me that one, I'm gonna have some words.
I was telling Gabby, like, because I remember when I posted that, and you were like, I forget exactly what you said, but basically, don't watch this shit,
Yeah, that's right. I don't remember exactly what I said either, but yeah, it was essentially, don't bother.
But I was like, well, kind of have to now. And so
it's the adverse effects.
I'm like, there is no way. There is absolutely no possible way the main character of this can be as like grating as everybody says that she is. I'm like, it's impossible. Like, you feel like it's one of those things where people have
Everybody's
to be,
hyping this up.
yeah, people have to be over exaggerating. That I watched it, I'm like, oh, it's true.
I even, like I had said previously, whenever someone mentions dash cam, whatever like Fam of the Paradise and the Frighteners is, when people mention that and I just appear, dash cam is like the polar opposite. People mention that, I'm like, bye. No, but I checked because I had heard before watching it that people were saying this isn't really even this woman acting, it's just her. So I found her Twitter and I was looking through them and going, my god, they're right.
Yep.
Oh, shit. So, if you
She,
like it, that's great. I'm glad. How? But, that's great.
yeah, she legitimately badly raps in her off time. That's just who she is.
Yeah. Yeah. You've heard of white people rapping? Well, we found a new level. Oh, no. Bronson, Boomer mentioned Hellraiser. Ozzy Osbourne has a song called Hellraiser. It's from his No More Tears album. Have you guys ever listened to it before? If so, what are your thoughts on the song? I have not.
I have not either. I am like, okay, so I don't listen to a whole lot of music. Again, like there's not a whole lot of things that I listen to. I have listened to Ozzy Osbourne before, and there are things from him that I like. I really like Osmosis, honestly, which is really funny because there was a time in high school when I was sitting in my science class and my teacher was asking some question. And of course, I wasn't paying attention. I was doing something else. Don't remember what. But he called on me, and me being kind of a smartass and obsessed with that album at the time, I just said Osmosis, and he's like, "That's correct." Like what? Can come to find out, he was talking about like osmosis. So like when cells. Uh,
Well, damn, that was
stuff.
lucky.
I was like, "Wow, bravo, Ozzy Osbourne."
Yeah. No, I've kind of, on a similar kind of note, I've heard this story from somebody. They said that they were able to really rattle off like poisonous spiders and the effect of said venom because of the song Black Widow from Alice Cooper and Vincent Price, because of the dialogue that Vincent Price has in there. So I almost have that memorized, ironically enough, but
Yeah.
when will that be helpful? Who knows? Maybe it will never be helpful. I need to delve more into Ozzy Osbourne, I think, but
Just waiting for somebody to tell us that they passed their
yeah,
college thesis on animal biology from watching Anaconda.
yeah. If someone says that, I swear to God. Who helped you? Ice-T. No. Hell House is great. Once again, I'm trying to show a certain amount of will and not watch it just on my own, and do that for a special watch along. Boomer, did you see the Hell House sequel?
I did watch both of the sequels, 2 and 3. I really enjoyed 2. I'm not going to spoil because the reason I didn't like it. Oh, okay, it's a sequel, so you're not going to like it as much. But my main issue with that is a spoiler, and so I don't want to talk about it. It's still a good movie though. It is really good. 3, I didn't care for as much just because, and it's weird because a lot of people say 3 is the second best one. I don't get it. It was just like kind of too over the top for me, so I didn't care for 3 as much. But yeah, I've seen them all, and apparently there is a new one maybe in the works. So we'll see.
Yeah, no, things with like movies, TV shows, they're a little iffy right now for obvious reasons. But I think we have enough in the reserve, as it were, to go over to occupy ourselves while we wait.
Yeah.
Hopefully that resolves itself in a positive way soon.
Yeah, we'll just do the John Malkovich voice. Pay the man his money. That's terrible, John Malkovich. Sorry, everyone out there.
Nobody contact him with it. No. DMC Dashcam 2 sequel in the works. For the love of God. Listen, if they don't bring back Annie, there might be a chance.
It is, yeah. Dashcam 2, the Trumpire strikes back.
I would like to quit right now. Thank you. I'm retiring now. No. Joking. I wouldn't get you Dashcam unless you put it on your wish list. Yeah, one of the few. I have to say, there's very few horror movies, clearly, once again, Slaughterhouse Rock, that I would not want in my collection. And honestly, Dashcam would either be the absolute last on the list or not on the list at all. So, we'll see how that works out. But for now, yeah, we can forgo that. Thank you. Hello, Sean. I don't like Evil Dead 2. Damn, boy. You're hurting me here, frequently. Too slapstick.
I hate your movie.
Too slapstick and use a British term, not my cup of tea. No, that's fine. I know. I'm always caught off guard by stuff like that whenever I'm like, this is a great horror movie, and someone else is like, it's shit. Oh.
Yeah, I've heard that opinion. I do. I get it, especially for people who grew up and saw the first one first, and then saw Evil Dead 2, and it's like, no, this is just not for me. So I get that, and it's funny because we talked about being forgiving of people's opinions, and that is like the last vestige of that. It is so hard for me to hear somebody like bash Evil Dead 2. I'm like, somebody starts talking shit on that one, I'm just like,
restraint. Hold it together.
I respect the things that you say.
Yeah. No matter how wrong you are. No, that's all right, Sean. We give you shit, Sean. It's all right. Different opinions. As I'm sure Ken Sledge would say, that's what makes us all great.
That's true.
The horror community is great for that. Sometimes.
Our wonderful mediator, Ken Sledge.
Yes, bless that man and his neutrality. I do not know where he find the strength to do it, but that's it. Nikki, shit, I didn't know there was a third. Oh, there you go. Maybe that's something to watch this evening or sometime soon. Something to add to watch list. Bronson, I have a couple of questions for Boomer. All right, sit tight. What is your favorite movie that Johnny Depp and Tim Burton have collaborated on together? And what is your favorite Robin Williams movie?
Favorite Robin Williams movie. I'm gonna cheat because I always cheat. I do it every time. So I will not answer your question. No. Okay, I will preference this by saying, my favorite Robin Williams movie is The Birdcage. I love that film. It's so funny. My second favorite, my 1A, if it just misses the cut, is Aladdin. I love him as the genie, and I remember when I was little watching that movie and just laughing through the entire thing. I mean, it's a great ensemble, but of course, like, he steals the show, and he's so he's so good at that role. Johnny Depp and Tim Burton. I'm gonna have to say, and this one's hard too. I will go with Edward Scissorhands, and the reason for that one is, again, because I'm kind of, a lot of times I prefer a dark ending, and that movie is really, really good, but it can be very heartbreaking and dark at times. I love Johnny Depp's nature as like the outcast Frankenstein's monster kind of thing in that film, and it's just a beautiful film. It is an incredibly beautiful film, and I am a sucker for cinematography. You can make a lot of mistakes in your movie, And if your film is gorgeous, then I overlook a lot of those things. But it's not. It's just a great film anyway. So
Yeah.
add that to just how wonderful visually that film is, and it's just it's fantastic. Like I'll sit there the entire time, and sometimes like not even watching or not even paying attention to what's actually happening in the story or the narrative, but just kind of like,
This is great to
one
look
of
at.
those things. Yeah.
Oh, that's fair. I'm actually rather thrilled that you mentioned the Birdcage, because that's one that I enjoy quite a lot as well. And that one has become kind of a comfort film for me, because it's once again a fabulous cast
Oh
and
yeah.
just really funny, and still holds a lot of, how should we say, societal value right now.
It was
So,
really ahead of its time. I mean,
very much.
it really was.
Yeah, no, and I think everybody involved understood that, if that makes sense. Like,
Yeah.
they understood the assignment, as they say. Hello, Hellbound. Love Evil Dead 2. It's a lot of fun. There you go. The counter to Sean.
We're 1-1 now.
Yeah. Ha! We're winning! No. Hello, Sean. Once again, Evil Dead 2 does not have a tree scene. That is way more cringe than anything Evil Dead 2 did, to be fair. I hate it in any movie, period. That's fair. That's understandable. I know that's a scene that a lot of people are like, what the fuck? So I'm glad that Sam Raimi, when they were doing Evil Dead 2, was like, maybe we shouldn't do that again. Let's not do that.
Yeah, I know
It's
it's
a
like he's talked
questionable
about how
one.
that's a scene that he kind of
Yeah.
regrets, like, nah, maybe that wasn't the best idea. I mean,
Yeah.
torturing my actors, that's fine, but
That's, yes.
that is a
Gallons of
little bit too
blood.
far.
That's right. We're gonna put Bruce Campbell through hell, but we're not gonna do that. It's that affectionate put him through hell, of course. Yeah.
But there will be no tree love
No.
in the second
When we said tree hugger, that's not what we meant. Nikki, everyone forgets what dreams may come. I don't forget it. I just haven't seen it. I want to, but that's probably one of those where it's like, okay, let's be in the right mind space for this. Yes.
I
I've heard it's
also
a
did not
beautiful
forget
film.
it. I don't like it as much.
Mm.
I don't hate it. It's just it's one of those movies that's like really, really saccharine, and it's like it's kind of hard for me to get into that. I again, it's another film that's visually stunning. It's really good, but like watching this, I'm just like my teeth are hurting, kind of.
It's like I said, I've heard it's a beautiful film, and eventually, I will watch it, of course. That's one of the more dramatic Robin Williams movies, I'm sure. That and 1 Hour Photo, I
Oh,
think, which falls more under horror.
1 Hour Photo is incredible. Yeah.
We'll get there. We'll get there. DMC. If you want to watch a found footage horror film that you have to wait until the last 15 minutes before something happens, check out Real Cases of Shadow People, the Sarah McCormick story on Tubi. Oh no.
I kind of do enjoy those those movies where it's like nothing happens for the first hour and 15 minutes. And because so I like those movies when it's that it's not going to be a great film going in, because then you can have a bit of fun with it.
Yeah, you can kind of poke fun at it.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. It's just like random people just walking around having conversations. There's one called it's a werewolf movie called Blood Red. That's what it is. And it is garbage. So basically for an hour of the movie, like this one girl gets bitten, and when that happens, like you expect, oh, she's been bitten, like she's going to turn into a werewolf and murder
Anytime now,
everybody.
anytime.
It's going to happen. Like, and she lays on the couch for like an hour and a half of this movie. And it's like the last 5 minutes when something actually happens and there's like kind of a fight in it and then it's over. And you're like,
Yeah.
oh, well, that was abrupt.
Well, that was anticlimactic as fuck. Thank you.
Yeah, but like I rewatched it and like rewatching it, like having a beer or two and kind of like making fun of all the filler that is in this film that was kind of a lot of fun.
Yeah. As they say, give it the riff tracks treatment.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for the recommendation.
Write it down. It's going in.
Yes, I'm gonna have to look for the trailer. Shun, a really underrated Robin Williams movie, is Patch Adams. I get some of the hate for it, but critics swear it was the worst movie ever made when it came out. I don't know about that. I mean, I know that when you relate it to the actual Patch Adams, there are some discrepancies, but on its own, I think it's fine. It at least has the Robin Williams spirit, shall we say? DMC, a link to Letterboxd for your film collection, Boomer. Do you have one?
I do. I will have to look up what that is.
Homework. Shit.
I was about to say I posted this several times, but I never like really paid attention to like what it actually was.
Oops.
All right, let's open Letterboxd.
And once you do, I guess if you would like, if it would make it easier, you can share that in the private chat of StreamYard, and I can put that in the chat so that everybody can see and judge. just like my watch list. What movies do you need to watch? Oh my god. Yeah.
Oh, of course, yeah. It's not just. Why would it just be something simple? Okay, let's.
And while we wait.
Yeah,
hi.
you would think it would be something, like kind of along the lines of Twitter, where you would have some kind of handle or something like that, or YouTube, /dice rolling. But no, it's not. It's like XB5.
Oh god.
Let me try to type this out as quietly as possible.
That's fine. Go ahead. We'll all just. Nikki, I've had so much death in my family, it gives me hope I will see them again. Oh, now that's fair. I can see that. I know that that's something that is talked about a lot in What Dreams May Come. And once again, the little clips that I've seen of it, I get the general idea of it. And I would like to think that it does have that hopeful element of it. It depends on your perspective of it, I imagine. So, once again, me personally, kind of similarly to you, Nikki, I imagine I'll have to be in some form of the right headspace to delve into that. So.
All right. Managed to get it done. But yeah, I understand that how, like, that could be a very, very personal thing. And so, I mean, that makes all the sense in the world. And I have some of those films as well. It's like other people are like, well, I don't know why you like that one. And it's like, well, it was one of my grandpa's favorite films before he passed away. We would watch it. And so yeah, like I get that.
Yeah, everybody, and it's different for everybody with the whole mental health thing. Lots of stuff that's, I'm sure, highly questionable to some people, and I'd just be over here going, yeah, it's a comfort film. How? Because. Alright, so I put. There you go. There you are, DMC. And
I spent all the time typing that out, and then when it comes up, it's /
What the fuck? It's mind games. Mind games from a site. That's great. Oh no, you sent me the trailer for. Okay. Well, I'll have that watch. Thank you. Actually, that probably makes it a little bit easier for me. Hello, Troy. Well, yeah, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're here. I know it probably won't be entirely too long here that we'll be wrapping up, but you made it. Bless you.
That's
If you
all
have any
that counts.
questions, yeah, no, that's what counts. That's what matters. If you have any questions, Troy, now's the time. Bronson, I have another question for Boomer. Have you seen Insomnia or The Night Listener? The next question is for both of you. Okay, well, you answer that one first.
I've seen Insomnia. I don't like that one as much as his other horror adjacent slash, thriller 1 hour photo, and it's because of Al Pacino in that. I mean, that was getting on to where Al Pacino was kind of losing his prowess a little bit, and I didn't care for it as much. And I don't know what it was about like the forever day thing. That got on my nerves. Like I know it's part of the story and it's like it's in Alaska, but like I'm just like, man, this sucks. Can't tell you why. I cannot tell you why it bugged me so much.
There
But
are
it did.
some like that for me too. Yeah, where I'm like, why do you don't not like it? I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't defend my position.
just
But
just take it as an opinion.
yeah, it is what it is. The Night Listener, no, I haven't seen that one.
That's got to be another one that isn't mentioned too frequently with him. I imagine, which is unfortunate, because I'm sure there's some number of movies with Robin Williams that just don't get talked about very much. But that's why we explore. At least that's the excuse I'm going to use. Next question is for both of you. In your opinion, what is the scariest horror movie scene for you two? I think I might have two. They would be jump scares, but in all fairness, once again, as someone who is not easily jump scared, they got me, even when I saw them coming. So the first one would be Jaws, and I'm sure when I say that, everybody knows exactly what I'm talking about. But the head popping out from the boat, it's already a tense scene, then you get that shit. Thank you very much. And the second one, which is a classic, I think, at this point, is the jump scare scene from Exorcist 3. So, those are my two.
That's pretty good. One of them I cannot share because if Gabby comes on here, she's going to talk about the movie and we'll probably talk about that scene because it's very important from the film that she picked. So I'm not gonna talk about that one at all. The other one is the original because I saw Ringu before I ever saw The Ring, and it's the TV scene. And I'd never seen anything like that before in my entire life. I didn't know what was going to happen. That movie is so atmospheric and full of dread. It's so good, but it ends with such a bang. And the Japanese version, if you've never seen Ringu, it's a lot different. I mean, there's similar beats, of course. You're going to be able to follow the plot. It's not that different, but the way that they handle everything, their philosophy on things, is different, obviously, than our American way of thinking about haunting and curses and that kind of thing. So it's really different the way that they approach the scares in that film. And so not expecting I'm expecting something but not knowing what. And then when she came out of the TV, it was just like I literally did, like I pushed back out of the way and was just like, nope, no. I mean, it was
hell no.
It was quite the experience. And it's not a jump scare at all.
No.
It just kind of unfolds before you, and it's just like goosebumps type thing. The other one is from Jew on the Curse, and it's like the first time that we get the death rattle, and I cannot hear it this day. Like I still, like the hair still stands up on my arms every time that you just start to get that. It's so horrified. It's terrible. But those two are just masterpieces of scares.
Yeah. And I think they've aged well.
Oh yeah.
I should think they still scare people. Like the death rattle, like you said, that's something that my brother will bring up every once in a while, and I'm pretty sure he hasn't even seen either the original or the no, we did see the American remake, so I'll take that back. But he's not a horror fan, but he'll still bring that up as being like, that's creepy. So clearly it has a decent effect. DMC, cool. I've added Boomer to Letterboxd. There you go.
Nice. I'll add you back after I get off here.
Very good, very good. All right, so if anybody has any more questions, you have just a little bit of time. Now is the last call. And in the meantime, for Boomer, are there any projects, etc., new things coming up you would like to promote?
Sure. So we've got kind of already shameless plug talked about one of the things that we've got coming up, but we have several reviews in the works. On Tuesday, we are releasing our review of The Devil's Rejects, and we have a very special guest. Not going to ruin it, but we have this very, very special guest on that one as well. We are on all podcasting platforms. Not hard. It's when we first started, I didn't think anybody was going to listen to a single episode, especially because like I would search, you know how you do. Like when you first start out, it's like so exciting. So I'm searching like podcast in the woods, and it's like nothing. I'm like, oh shit, nobody's ever going to listen to anything. But now,
that's
if you
bad though.
yeah, if you search for podcast in the woods, you'll find us. We do have a lot of stuff coming up. To kind of hint, I've been working on a script for a short film as well, and we're going to try to get that done at some point, dealing with the issue that we've talked about today, kind of a metaphor for my struggles with anxiety. And so I'm excited about that. Hopefully, I'm a notorious procrastinator. So I'm going to get on my game and try to do that. But yeah, Gabby and I have been doing some like amazing horror talks on our show. So until all that future stuff comes out, that this is what we'll be doing.
There you go. And I have the links, of course, to Podcast in the Woods in the description for everybody to check out. The film, that sounds intriguing. I'm always intrigued when someone's like, we're going to be making a film. Ooh. All right. So,
well, I'll tell you what. I'll send you the short story that it's that I wrote that it's based on, and you can just give me your opinion.
Okay, I can do that. Fun stuff, and you all should, of course, be listening. I mean, they are one of the reasons why I started this podcast. So, because I didn't know what the fuck a podcast was for a good while, so that was them inviting me on an episode to talk about a ridiculous horror movie was my little feeler for things. So there we are. It's full circle here.
That's an honor. That means a lot. Wow.
Yes, we have lots of inspiration. Lots of motivation. We need it.
That's true.
Brunson, what is your favorite Dwayne Johnson movie? Mine would have to be Rundown. Have you seen him as Hercules? If so, what are your thoughts? I've read that Hercules was his dream come true to make. I haven't seen that.
I have not either. I don't see a whole lot of the Marvel stuff. The superhero things. I have not seen a lot of things with him in it. There was one that I thought was pretty decent. I don't even remember the title for it, but he plays like this small town sheriff, and he carries around like a 2x4 to whack people with instead of a gun. And
well, that's a method.
Yeah, and that one was pretty entertaining. But no, I've never seen San Andreas or whatever that other one was. I've never seen The Rundown. I haven't seen Hobbs and Shaw or any of that. I haven't seen any of the Fast and the Furious movies except for like the first couple. I'm pretty sure that by now they're racing rocket ships or something.
Yeah, they're going to space now. Yeah, right.
So I know it's just it's not really my bag. I do love action flicks, but not those kind.
Hmm.
So
I'm afraid I'm lacking in Dwayne Johnson movies. The only one really that comes to mind is like the third Mummy film. So
he's brilliant as the Scorpion.
it's perfect. It's so realistic. So, you know, I'll get back to you on that one. Bronson again. This question is for you both. Okay, I know I got you. What horror movie do you guys think could benefit from a remake? Ooh, what horror movie should be remade? Interesting. Well, let's take, instead of what Hollywood has been doing, of just recycling stuff that is a classic and remaking it, how about one that needs an update? Let's try to think about that.
Okay, I've got one for you.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, so this is going to be a completely different, like, it's going to be a reinterpretation of the concept, like, because I like the bare bones, like I like the ideas, and I like the movie because it's silly, and it's got an amazing Corbin Burnson performance in it, and that is oh damn it, now I forgot what the damn movie's called. Huh?
Describe it, quick.
The one where he plays the doctor that starts killing people when his wife cheats on him.
Oh,
It's 90s.
Oof.
I'm gonna look this up real quick. While I'm looking this up, do you have one, Dice?
We'll
Doing host voice.
Quick! Dance! Now see, there's a lot of, like, older horror movies that I think are just fine on their own, or perhaps now they wouldn't be able to achieve the same thing. Maybe. I hesitate. Maybe it would be interesting to see something of a reimagining for The House on Haunted Hill. That could be interesting. I know there's been a lot of kind of sort of remakes, but I don't know. Maybe
I
that
like
could be
it.
fun.
I like that. The Dentist is what I was trying to think of, and I kept like, as soon as I started talking about it, Doctor Giggles was like going through my head, and I'm like, no, that's not it. It's not.
Similar,
It's
but not
the
quite.
other one. It's the other one. So the Dentist, like I said, it has a decent premise for where he's overworked and stressed out, and his wife cheats on him, and he kind of goes off the deep end, and I think that would really be or could be a good film based on something like, I don't know if anybody out there has seen like the film Falling Down with Michael Douglas, like, so kind of that take on it, to where it's like you push somebody too far, that they're like and they just kind of break. And I would really, I'm talking about mental health. If it's done in a kind of a respectful and well done way, I would love to see that getting remade in that kind of interpretation, where you have this, this regular person, this mild mannered guy, and then he just becomes like this, this monster. I think that would be fantastic.
I always think those kind of stories are rather interesting. For some reason, I gravitate towards the, like, unassuming individual, or even, like, really innocent, nice kind of person, then tainted. It's interesting. So
Yeah.
that could be interesting. And actually, on a somewhat similar subject, I had a slight epiphany, and that many, I'm sure, would probably see this as sacrilege, but I would be interested, potentially, in a remake of Psycho if Andrew Garfield plays Norman.
Ooh, that's a hot take.
I know. I know we've already had a remake. We don't talk about it. But potentially, we'll put it that way. If nothing else, let's just see what they could do with House on Haunted Hill now.
I kind of agree with that. Like, I know that we had our Psycho remake and it was not good, but I can see them doing some interesting things with that. I mean, one of my favorite scenes and lines is that ending of the original Psycho. The "I wouldn't hurt a fly" scene. It's brilliant, and to see a new take on that. Please do something different.
Please,
but
for the love of God, modernize it.
yeah,
if you would like. I mean, that's kind of the point of it. And don't do it shot for shot. We've already seen what happens when you do that. Do something a little bit different. Keep the spirit of it, but different. Okay. Once again, I see the torches from here, I think, actually. Bronson. No, we already did that. Moving on. Bronson again. What is your favorite Brendan Fraser film? Or Fraser, as I have been corrected. Blast from the Past is my favorite. I rather like The Mummy. Even George of the Jungle, which I watched as a kid, is rather amusing to me, so.
Like, I agree. I don't know how you could, not go with The Mummy. It's so entertaining. That is like one of the very definitions of a popcorn flick, and
Yeah.
it's so much fun. And I actually think that the bad CGI in that film kind of works for it.
It's nostalgic in a way.
Yeah, I mean, it really is. Like most of the time, like you watch a film from that time period when they fell in love with CGI, even though it wasn't the greatest.
Baby
Um,
burning.
you watch it now and you're like, "Ugh," but that one though still holds. Yeah, this like it's kind of campy in its own way. So it's like kind of like its own, it has like that 80s type of not aesthetic. I'm not saying like it has an 80s aesthetic, but it's like that mindset of campiness
Kind of tone, maybe.
to it. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Like one of my favorite scenes is, and I forget what the guy's actual name is, but Jonathan. Whenever they're trying to escape and the
Yes.
zombies all rush at him, and then he turns around, and he's like,
Yeah, blitzing.
and everybody just starts
Yeah.
following him.
Yep.
It's amazing.
Smart. I mean, he's smarter than he gets credit for, really.
Yeah.
But no, that I always have a bit of fondness for The Mummy, the first one specifically, simply because of two things. One, just like the meme that I've come across says, as a kid, I wanted it to be Evie. As a teen, I wanted it to be O'Connell. And now I realize I'm Jonathan. I can live with it. And the other reason is when you're like me, and at some point a bit later in life you realize, oh, we're bisexual. Oh, okay. And then you watch Mummy again and go, well, no shit. No wonder. Clarifies everything.
This makes all the sense in the world now.
Astonishing. Well, thank you for participating, DMC. See you later. I know it's probably a bit late for you, my friend. So, we'll be wrapping up here. Hello, Sobril, forgive me. Welcome, hello. From Brazil, no less. Well, bless you. I appreciate the engagement. Bronson, one last time. Steve Martin was in Little Shop of Horrors, right? He also made a movie called Novocaine. So that was like a dentist kind of thing? I'm guessing, anyway. Let's have a look. I don't think I've heard of that one. We must investigate.
I can't hear Novocaine without thinking of the Green Day song every time.
Oh. Yeah, either Green Day or like Fall Out Boy.
Yeah.
They did a song for that. So. Okay, a dentist finds himself a murder suspect after a sexy patient seduces him into prescribing her drugs. And it's got Helena Bonham Carter as well. Huh. I had not heard of this one.
No.
Intriguing. Have to investigate it. Nikki. Brendan Fraser was great in School Ties. I am not familiar. I don't know.
That's another one I've heard of, not seen.
It's on the watch list. Yes.
It's on the list.
Yes, another one on the list. Okay. It's alright. After about 2000, you figure, fuck it. Let's just add that one, sure. Alright, so. Anything else you would like to mention?
No, I think that, well, okay, one last thing. One last thing to make this quick, because I've got to get up early as well and go to work. So,
We don't want to hold anybody.
one last thing that kind of speaks to me, in Evil Dead relating to our anxiety or mental health issues, like real quick, final word, is, the fact that no matter how bad that things get for him, and it's always horrible, that he ends up overcoming in the end. And I mean, that is kind of like the mindset that I've adopted is, no matter what it is, that I'm going to continue to put one foot in front of the other, and I'm going to win. And so, that's like the last thing that really stood out to me is, being able to overcome those situations, no matter how dark and terrible that they are, and they are.
Yeah, there you go. I think that's another marvelous thing to point out, really. Yeah. One last thing from Nikki. I'm old, leave me alone. It's one of his first movies. Oh, okay. That's alright, it's part of cinematic history, it's important. So, I appreciate you.
We are
Otherwise,
all
wouldn't know
getting
about
older.
things. I plead the fifth. I say nothing. I am still regarded as potentially being in high school, so we confuse people regularly. It's all right. So, all right, fine. One more question. Bronson, if you guys could interview any horror movie director, who would it be? That's my last question. So I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you, sir. Likewise. Any horror movie director? I think Stuart Gordon would be interesting.
Yeah, that would be pretty neat. For me, it's Ty West. I love his approach to films. I love how he's able to get into the headspace and make things authentic for each time period that he's tackled. I think that he has a really unique perspective when it comes to scaring people and horror in general. And he's funny. He's really funny. Like, if you've never seen You're Next, like with him in it, like he's got a great personality as well. So I would love to talk to him. One of my other heroes that I've already got to talk to, which was amazing, was Jill Gavargasian, who did the Stylist, because that film is amazing. I absolutely love it, and really connected as well to and not like identified, but I connected with the character of Claire in that film, and so that was a bucket list item for me. So, but one that I haven't, Ty West, yeah.
All right. Who knows? That could still happen. Obviously, Stuart Gordon, not so much. But Ty West could still happen. There's still hope there. Yes.
Be safe, Ty West.
Yes. Dear God. Boomer, sub to your podcast. Looking forward to it.
Oh, nice. Thank you so much. That's awesome.
There's lots of fun episodes to explore. So, with that, I believe we should not hold our guest any longer. Some have responsibilities. I don't know what that is.
Gross.
Yeah, I don't know. What is that? A job? No, what? So, I appreciate everybody who joined us and all the questions, interaction. If you guys who are watching this in post have any questions, leave them in the comments. If necessary, I shall pass them on. And tell us your thoughts on Evil Dead 2. Clearly, there's a lot to explore with that, and it's very intriguing. Also, of course, thank you to my esteemed guest, Boomer, for joining me on this little exploration. We will have Gabby on in the future, I promise.
Awesome. Yeah, this has been delightful. So, and hey, the internet held up. So
yes, hey, that's good on both of our asses right there. That's great. Wonderful. Glad for it.
But yeah, thank you so much for having me on. This was fantastic.
And thank you for agreeing to. So, always glad when someone's like, sure, I'll do that, yeah. And with that, my friends, good morning, good evening, good night. And as always, remember, if you feel something oozing out of your headphones, don't worry. It's just your brain.